Calcium carbonate is added in the UK for many, many years to wheat, to flour. The only exception being wholemeal. So if you want to avoid calcium carbonate in your diet, you have to only use wholemeal bread, wholemeal wheat, which is good. But white bread tastes good, I have to say. It goes down well, especially toast and with pate or as a sandwich. But the point I want to make in today's video is that I do not believe that food should be adulterated, even if it's allegedly in our own interest. You see, when they added calcium carbonate to flour, they added it to everybody's food. And the justification was, and there's always a justification, that there was some people had a deficiency of calcium carbonate in their diet. And this was done, I think, in the war. And at that time, maybe some people did have a genuine deficiency because perhaps they weren't they weren't eating other forms of calcium, such as dairy products. I don't know. I don't know if that was true or not. I personally like dairy products a lot, and I eat a lot of cheese. I use butter. I never use margarine. I drink milk. I have cappuccino. Occasionally, I have cereal with milk, and so I am not calcium deficient at all. In fact, perhaps I may be having too much calcium. So this is the problem. What happens when you add things to food? You may, perhaps you might benefit some people, and you might perhaps harm others. I don't believe in food additives for simple ingredients. I don't want they salt has iodine in it, and we're told that that's important for us, and it might be. I don't know enough about it, but I don't like mass medication. It might mean that some people are getting too much of something. Another thing they're planning to do, which I strongly oppose, is put folic acid into wheat as well. So people are not getting a pure product, they're getting an adulterated product. Their food has been pre-medicated for them. In fact, they're trying to do this with vaccines as well. They're trying to introduce, because some people don't want to get injected, so they're trying to give us similar stuff in our food or nasal spray or that kind of thing. So although we do need calcium, most of us get enough from our diet, and we should not have added to our food without our consent. Now, a lot of people don't know that the calcium carbonate, which most people would assume is derived from milk or something as an additive, is actually just ground down shells and chalk and stuff like that. Basically, you're being given powdered rock in your food. Our body can deal with it. For example, birds quite often swallow pebbles and things in order to assist their digestion. It helps grind up, but we're not birds. And the way in which our food is, a lot of people recognise that one of the reasons people are so fat, and you can look at pictures from the 60s and compare them to people today. One of the reasons people are so fat is not just the computer and the television and their sedentary lifestyles. It's also probably mostly to do with the diet. People are eating too much processed food. Don't get me wrong, I like a bar of chocolate as much as anyone else, and I know that processed food can be tasty and delicious. It would have to be. It's easy to eat, it looks good, but if you look at the ingredients, then you can see that there's a problem. So the conclusion I have is that we should not be adding these type of products to basic ingredients. I want my salt to be salt. When I buy sea salt, I always just buy sea salt with no additives. Sometimes they sell sea salt with additives to help it run smoothly or something. I don't buy that product. I don't want to buy any product that's been cut. For example, sometimes you can buy butter type things that contain oils or margarine or something, and the benefit of that is that it spreads nicely from the fridge. But I don't want to eat that because if I buy butter, I want it to be pure butter, which is very healthy and very good for you. Uh-huh. Fat isn't the enemy. Fat has never been the enemy. Red meat has never been the enemy. Red meat is very good for us. Look at the glossy coat on a tiger. Do you think they are suffering from some sort of... And of course, although I understand the ethical reasons why people become vegetarians, and I agree with a lot of them, because there's no way you can kill an animal without some cruelty. Cruelty, unfortunately, anybody who eats meat is cruel. I mean, but then again, you can't expect tigers and lions and other carnivores to eat vegetables because they obligate carnivores their digestion. And apparently, although I'm no expert on this, human digestion is primarily carnivorous. We are omnivores, so we can and do eat fruits and vegetables, which I personally enjoy. But I think our bodies were primarily designed to eat meat. I know for a fact that if I eat some steak, my digestion is very good for eating meat. I have improved digestion. In fact, I can't think of many things that taste better than a good steak. A marbled steak, it's one of the most delicious things in the world, especially if you wash it down with some red wine and have some baked potato or something with it. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry now. It's only 11 o'clock. I do not want additives in my food, and also another thing I mentioned before is that I do not want additives in my water supply. There are unfortunately trace elements of hormones and chemicals in our drinking water, and unfortunately some of this cannot be removed economically, so we are going to have it. Could this affect libido? Could it affect fertility? I think it might. I think it might affect fertility if obviously there's going to be estrogen in trace amounts at least in our water supply, and that's going to be drunk by men. In fact, one ridiculous TV presenter, Dr. Raj, ludicrous gay man on television, actually suggested that men should take female contraceptives during COVID in order to protect against COVID. I mean, can you imagine what nonsense? And this guy is portrayed as an expert, giving men female contraceptives as a COVID, in order to prevent a variety of alleged flu. My God, what a crazy world we live in. And he's getting paid a lot of money to go on TV to talk shit like that. But this is the kind of expert we have in now. They're not experts who are just genuinely giving their logical opinion. They are just ludicrous idiots who have been chosen just to promote an agenda and really to mock the public. So another thing that I definitely do not want in our water supply is fluoride. Fluoride is rare in Britain. The Irish Republic have it a lot. In fact, everywhere in the Irish Republic has it. Northern Ireland doesn't have it. I would say that the fluoride issue would be enough for Catholics in Northern Ireland to not want to join the Republic of Ireland. If I was a Northern Irish Catholic, and another thing is, people don't realise that people in Northern Ireland, Catholic or Protestant, have a unique identity. It's not necessarily even Northern Irish people who do not identify as British, which includes Protestants as well as Catholics, do not have a different culture from the Republic of Ireland. Partly this is because of 100 years of being in a separate country, but also it's to do with Ulster and their local culture, which is distinct from the Republic. In fact, to be fair, in the Republic there's also distinct cultures. People in the four provinces, Ulster, Leinster, Munster and Ulster, all have sub-identities and regional identities even within those geographical areas. So what I'm saying is, to reiterate, I'm sure you know my opinions, is that additives such as fluoride, calcium carbonate, folic acid should not be added to food. I am actually not a particularly fussy person when it comes to eating. I've always followed the seafood diet. If I see food, I eat it. I like food and I eat some processed food. I've got tomato ketchup and things like that. I like umami taste, so I've got soy sauce. I love Worcester sauce. But if you look at Worcester sauce, all the ingredients in Worcester sauce are delicious. Tamarind, molasses, vinegar, salt, anchovies, and so on. So these we can get a lot of taste, but flavorings of any description, because the word flavoring is too vague. If some food you buy says flavorings, even if it says natural flavorings, that's too vague. I want to know what these natural flavorings are. E-numbers, there are some E-numbers that are quite innocent, but a lot of E-numbers are not. So what they do is they put in some innocent E-numbers to give, and to sort of basically, if you put like 5 E-numbers on a product, if you get E-numbers on a product, it's very likely a product you should not be eating at all. But here we have a National Library of Medicine. It says here, the good, the bad, the ugly of calcium supplementation. A review of calcium. So, okay, the British government mandate legally that wheat in this country, that flour has to have calcium carbonate. So what that means is, even if there are aspects of calcium carbonate that are good, there's also ugly aspects. Ugly aspects. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's bad and ugly aspects. So calcium intake may not only have good results, it might have bad results. If the government mandate the addition of calcium carbonate and, for example, folic acid, and another thing is folic acid, the justification for adding folic acid to food is that some pregnant women need folic supplement, which is folic acid. It would be produced artificially. It's not a natural product. So they add artificially produced folic acid, right, to everybody's food. Look, I'm a 62-year-old male. I do not need to worry about being pregnant. It's not going to happen. Okay, I'm never going to get pregnant. And even most and children are not going to get pregnant either. So 50% of the population are men. They're not going to get pregnant, and maybe 95% of women are neither pregnant nor planning to get pregnant either because they're too young or they're too old. If a few women need folic acid, then those particular women should be given folic acid, right? If you are a woman or you're pregnant and you've decided after reviewing all the evidence, which you won't be doing because nobody ever does, you can get folic acid. Why should everybody in Britain be given folic acid? Old people, young people, children, boys, girls, female pensioners, people who are menopausal, why should they be given folic acid just because the 1% of the public who, I don't know, I'm just guessing, 1% of people, maybe less than 1%, are pregnant at any given time? And it would be very easy to provide folic acid as a supplement to these particular people. Why give every single person... Look, supposing you've got dentures, why would you need fluoride in your water? Are you concerned about... And another thing is fluoride is actually bad for your bones. And yet if you ever say these things, people say, oh my God, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's good for your teeth. It's good for your teeth. No, fluoride isn't good for children. It really isn't good for children. Apparently, and I think this is quite plausible, it damages your pineal gland, which is in the middle of your head, which is probably why everybody's got that zonked out stare. You can't have an intelligent conversation with anyone these days. I've tried it, believe me, I've tried it. People are offended by intelligent conversation. You've just got to talk about football or something. That's the most that they can. Even then you'll probably offend them. We live in a zonked out, zombified world. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think for a change. Thank you. Bye.